My friend, the world within your mind is a universe vast enough to create or destroy entire destinies. Most people live as strangers in that universe. They walk through life guided by circumstance, blown by the winds of chance, never realizing that the very force they seek outside themselves has been quietly waiting within. Patient, silent, immeasurably powerful. I call this force the law of mental power. Understand me clearly. This is not a poetic phrase, nor a vague mysticism meant to charm the imagination. It is a law as definite as the law of gravity, as precise as mathematics. It governs the results of your thought with the same fidelity that gravity governs the fall of an apple. When you understand this law, you cease to drift, you direct, you cease to wish, you command. Every thought, my friend, is an unseen vibration, a living impulse carrying with it the power to attract its likeness. Thoughts are seeds, and the soil in which they are planted is the human mind. But unlike ordinary soil, this one is obedient. It never argues, it never questions. It merely produces in kind. The man who plants fear must reap failure. The man who sows faith must harvest achievement. Now, let us go deeper. The mind is divided, as you know, into the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious mind is your watchman, the gatekeeper of reason and choice. The subconscious is your workshop, the silent craftsman who takes your orders and executes them with tireless accuracy. But here is the secret. The subconscious never sleeps, never doubts, never disobeys. It acts upon whatever idea you impress upon it with conviction, emotion, and repetition. If, then, you continually feed it with images of lack, worry, and defeat, it will build circumstances to match those images. But if you command it with faith, clarity, and a definite purpose, it will summon invisible allies, opportunity, intuition, creative insight, and the cooperation of others, all working together to bring your purpose to reality. You may ask, why does this law not work for everyone? My answer is that it works for all, but most misuse it unconsciously. They think negative thoughts with intensity and feeling, and then wonder why life mirrors their fears. The law does not discriminate between good and evil, wealth or poverty, joy or despair. It simply multiplies whatever the mind holds with emotional energy. The power that builds a palace can also build a prison, depending on the architect. There is a magnetic quality in thought, a subtle energy that draws to itself people, conditions, and circumstances in harmony with its nature. You cannot see this energy, but you can feel its effects. Think long enough about misfortune, and it will appear at your door. Think persistently of success, and the world will rearrange itself to accommodate your desire. Let me tell you a truth that few men ever fully grasp. Every achievement begins twice, first in the mind, and then in the world. Every skyscraper was once a dream, held stubbornly by an individual who refused to release it. Every great fortune was first a thought, a desire, a burning idea fixed in consciousness until it became substance. The mind is the mold in which all outer form is cast. But here lies the discipline. The mind must be trained. Power without control is chaos. You cannot allow your mental forces to scatter like leaves in the wind. Concentration, sustained attention toward a single aim, is the lever by which ordinary men lift themselves into extraordinary heights. When you learn to hold one dominant thought with feeling and faith, the entire universe seems to move to make that thought flesh. The law of mental power demands definiteness. The man who says, "I want success," speaks to the universe in a language too vague to be answered. What kind of success? In what field? By what date? Under what conditions? The more precise your mental blueprint, the clearer the creative forces can act upon it. You cannot build a cathedral from a sketch of smoke. There is a sacred partnership between thought and emotion. Thought is the plan. Emotion is the fuel. The most detailed plan will lie lifeless unless you set it aflame with belief. Faith is the fire that ignites thought into action. Doubt is the frost that kills it in the soil. When your conscious mind sends forth an idea charged with enthusiasm, your subconscious acts as a faithful servant, drawing to you every means required for its realization. Now, hear me well. Mental power is not mere thinking. Many people think all day and accomplish nothing. True mental power begins when thought becomes directed imagination, when it is charged with purpose and belief. You must think with intent, not with idle curiosity. You must command your thought as a general commands his army, with authority, vision, and unwavering faith in victory. Remember, too, that every thought you persist in becomes a habit. Every habit becomes character, and character is destiny. So guard the gates of your mind as you would the treasury of a kingdom. Do not allow envy, fear, or self-pity to enter unchallenged. The cost of such intruders is always your peace and your progress. I have met men who possessed brilliant minds but weak control, and I have seen them undone by their own unguarded thoughts. I have also met simple men, humble in learning, who, through faith and discipline, rose to command wealth and influence. The difference between them was not intelligence, but the use of the law. The mind is the master key to all circumstances. It is the workshop of heaven or the forge of hell, depending on the craftsman. When you awaken to this truth, when you realize that every experience you meet is the result of the pattern you hold within, you become the sovereign of your fate. You no longer curse conditions, you create them. So, I say unto you, learn to use the law of mental power as the artist uses his brush, deliberately, lovingly, persistently. Paint the picture of your ideal life on the canvas of imagination, and hold it there until it is mirrored in reality. Refuse to let the shadow of doubt blur your vision. The world without is always a reflection of the world within, and thus, my friend, the first key is given. Thought, when believed and felt, becomes form. In the next part of this discourse, I shall show you how to discipline the mind, how to transmute desire into concentrated power, and turn imagination into a living force that compels results. My friend, in the first part of this teaching, I revealed to you that thought is the primal substance from which all creation springs, the invisible power that shapes your outer world. But knowledge of the law is not mastery of it. Many men understand that thought is power, yet few can command thought to serve them. And it is here that our next journey begins. In the realm of discipline and focus, the forge where power becomes precision and will becomes dominion. There is no mastery without discipline. The undisciplined mind is like a wild horse, full of energy, full of potential, yet dangerous until trained. It runs in circles, chasing its own tail, wasting its strength in aimless motion. The disciplined mind, however, is like a stallion harnessed to purpose. Every ounce of energy is directed. Every motion serves an end. Discipline of thought begins with awareness, the art of watching your own mind without judgment. Most men are prisoners of their thoughts, believing whatever voice speaks loudest within. But the true master of mental power becomes the observer. He stands at the gate of his mind and questions every idea that seeks entrance. Is this thought building or destroying? Is it aligned with my definite purpose, or does it lead me astray? You must become the sentinel of your own consciousness. No external tyrant has ever held man in greater bondage than his own uncontrolled thinking. For it is not circumstance that binds, but the interpretation of circumstance, the habitual pattern of thought that defines every event as defeat or opportunity. Now, let us speak of focus. Focus is the weapon by which thought cuts through confusion and penetrates to power. Without focus, thought scatters like sunlight through fog. With focus, thought burns with the concentrated heat of a laser, capable of piercing steel. To focus means to hold your attention unwaveringly upon one purpose until every stray idea that does not serve that purpose falls away. The greatest men in history were men of one idea. Edison held before his mind the single image of light. Ford visualized the automobile for the multitude. Carnegie saw in steel the empire of modern industry. Their genius was not in complexity, but in simplicity of aim. They refused to divide their mental forces among a dozen pursuits. They set their minds like flint upon one vision and refused to look away until that vision became fact. The undisciplined mind, by contrast, jumps from one idea to another, restless, impatient, forever beginning but never finishing. Such a mind dissipates its power like a leaking reservoir. The disciplined mind, however, builds pressure, every thought reinforcing the last, every action feeding the next, until momentum becomes irresistible. To cultivate this mastery of focus, you must learn the art of mental silence. Once each day, withdraw from noise and motion. Sit alone, still the body, calm the breath, and command the mind to obey. At first it will rebel. It will wander, resist, and argue. for it has long been the master. But through patience and persistence, you will bend it to your will. 5 minutes of true concentration are worth more than 5 hours of distracted effort. The mind must learn obedience before it can command. That is the paradox of mastery. To rule your mental world, you must first become its servant, training it, disciplining it, conditioning it until it responds instantly to your direction. Like a musician who practices scales until the fingers move by instinct, you must practice focus until thought obeys without resistance. Another principle of this discipline is controlled attention, the deliberate choice of what you allow to occupy your consciousness. Every thought held in mind becomes a magnet. Therefore, to dwell upon failure is to invite failure. To dwell upon success is to attract success. The wise man does not deny difficulty, but he refuses to concentrate upon it. He fixes his attention on the solution, the vision, the end result, and the universe responds accordingly. You will discover that as your focus sharpens, the outer world begins to align with your dominant mental pattern. Opportunities appear where none seem to exist. People and resources drift naturally into your orbit. This is not coincidence. It is law in operation. Your mind is a transmitter and receiver of frequency, and focus determines the station to which your life is tuned. But let me warn you, the discipline of thought is not achieved in comfort. The moment you decide to master your mind, resistance will arise. Old habits will clamor for attention. Fears long buried will whisper their doubts. You will be tempted to surrender to distraction, to seek escape in trivial things. Yet this struggle is proof that transformation has begun. The mind resists control for the same reason iron resists the magnet. Until it is properly aligned, persist. For once your mental forces stand in line, once every faculty of thought marches under the banner of a single definite purpose, you will possess a power that few men have ever touched. You will speak, and the world will listen. You will act, and results will follow as surely as night follows day. Let me give you a practice that has raised more men from failure to fortune than any philosophy I know. Each morning, before the day begins, close your eyes and hold in your mind the clear picture of what you intend to accomplish. See it as complete, as real, as inevitable. Feel gratitude as if it were already done. Then move into the day with that image burning in your heart. Do not let outer conditions shake your vision. What you hold in consciousness will, by law, solidify in circumstance. And when doubt creeps in, as it surely will, answer it with faith. Say to yourself, "My mind is the master power that molds my destiny. I am not the servant of fear, but the commander of thought." Repeat it until it becomes truth within you. Every affirmation of strength plants a seed in the subconscious that grows into action and achievement. The mastery of focus is not about effort alone. It is about alignment. When your thought, emotion, and will are united toward a single goal, success becomes a natural consequence, not a struggle. This unity of mind is what the ancients called the one-pointed consciousness. It is the state of inner harmony in which every part of your being moves in one direction, unconflicted, unstoppable. Remember, the mind cannot hold two opposing ideas with equal power. One must dominate. Therefore, choose deliberately which thought shall rule. Either faith or fear, purpose or doubt, creation or complaint. One must become the master and the other the servant. The choice is yours, and upon that choice rests the fate of your destiny. So I say unto you, my friend, if you would awaken the secret law of mental power, begin with this discipline. Command your mind to think what you choose, not what the world suggests. Direct your focus as a sculptor directs his chisel, not upon what must be removed, but upon the form he desires to reveal. For creation is not the addition of new matter, but the removal of the unnecessary until truth stands clear. In the next part, I shall unveil the force of desire and the alchemy of emotion, how to transform longing into magnetic power, and how feeling becomes the bridge between thought and manifestation. My friend, within the invisible depths of every human heart burns a sacred fire, the fire of desire. It is the oldest of all forces, the engine behind every creation, every discovery, every upward step that man has ever taken. Desire is the language through which the infinite speaks to the finite. It is the whisper of potential calling you toward what you might yet become. And until you learn to understand this force, Until you learn to harness it and transmute it into disciplined power, you will never know the full majesty of your own mind. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. Every structure that touches the sky, every fortune that changed the course of history, every invention that reshaped civilization, all began with one man, alone with a longing. Before Edison's light illuminated the world, it burned first as an invisible fire in his imagination. Before Lincoln freed the slaves, liberty was already crying out in his heart. Before any great success appeared in the physical world, it existed as a consuming desire within someone's mind. But here lies the paradox. While desire is divine in its origin, it is also dangerous in its misuse. Uncontrolled, it can become a flame that consumes rather than refines. It can lead a man to restlessness, greed, or ruin. Yet when purified and directed by faith, discipline, and purpose, desire becomes the alchemist's fire, transforming ordinary thought into gold, dream into destiny, and wish into will. The majority of men suppress their desires, ashamed of their yearning for more. They have been taught that wanting is selfish, that ambition is pride. They silence their inner call and settle for mediocrity. But the truth, my friend, is this. Desire is the pulse of life itself. It is not to be feared or denied, but understood and governed. The man who kills his desire kills the very power that could lift him. The wise man learns to direct it, not destroy it. Let me tell you what desire truly is. It is spirit in motion. It is the infinite mind seeking expression through you. When a deep, burning desire takes hold of you, it is not a random whim. It is life itself, inviting you to expand, to express, to create. The fact that you can feel the desire means you already possess within you the power to fulfill it. Nature implants no urge without providing the means of its realization. Therefore, the first step in the alchemy of emotion is to honor your desire. Do not dismiss it as fantasy. Examine it, clarify it. Ask yourself, what is it that I truly want? Not what the world says I should want. Not what habit dictates, but what my soul craves when all fear and pretense are stripped away. Until you know that answer, your power is scattered, for the mind cannot direct energy toward a fog. It must have a definite living target. Now, once desire is known, it must be intensified. Every great accomplishment requires energy, and emotion is the generator of that energy. Thought without feeling is like a bow without a string, beautiful but useless. You may plan, analyze, and reason endlessly, but until you infuse your idea with feeling, it will not move the universe. The subconscious mind responds not to logic, but to emotion. It is the language it understands. Emotion is the bridge between thought and form, faith, love, enthusiasm, gratitude. These are the great transmuters that turn mental images into physical realities. When you imagine your desire as already fulfilled and feel the joy of its accomplishment, you send out a magnetic vibration that begins to attract all that is necessary for its realization. This is the secret of prayer that works, of vision that manifests, of men who seem to command fate itself. Let us make this clear. Your emotional state is not a side effect of circumstances. It is the cause of them. The man who feels perpetually defeated will attract defeat, no matter how hard he works. The man who feels confident and blessed will attract success, even through apparent setbacks. The law responds not to outer effort, but to inner vibration. The feeling of abundance creates abundance. The feeling of lack creates poverty. To practice the alchemy of emotion, you must learn to generate feeling deliberately. Most men wait for emotion to strike them. The master creates emotion by choice. Begin each day by entering into the mood of success. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel yourself already in possession of your aim. Picture your home, your business, your relationships as you desire them to be, and hold the image until it stirs your heart. Let that feeling saturate every cell of your being. Then act from that state, not from the past, but from the future you have already claimed in consciousness. There is a secret in this. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. If you sustain an emotional picture long enough, it must externalize itself in your experience. This is not wishful thinking. It is the mechanics of creation. The world you see is the mirror of the feelings you hold. Change the inner vibration, and the outer reflection must follow. But remember, emotion alone, without direction, is chaos. It must be wedded to a definite purpose. Desire must have a clear form to inhabit. It is not enough to wish vaguely for happiness or wealth. You must define what those words mean to you. The sculptor does not strike his chisel randomly against the marble. He sees the statue within and cuts with precision. Likewise, your emotion must be focused upon a mental image as clear as sunlight. Once you unite clear desire with strong emotion, you must seal the union with faith, the absolute conviction that what you have conceived is already in process of becoming. Faith is not hope. Hope waits. Faith acts. Faith speaks in the language of certainty. It is done. When that vibration is reached, the unseen forces of the universe begin to conspire in your favor. The right ideas, people, and opportunities appear as though summoned by some invisible hand. But how shall you maintain faith when appearances seem against you? How shall you keep desire burning when delay mocks your effort? Here lies the test of mastery. The world will reflect your inner state, but not instantly. Between planting and harvest, there is always a season of growth, and in that interval, doubt often whispers, "It is not working." That is the moment to hold steady. The farmer does not dig up the seed to check its progress. He trusts the process. So must you trust the law. To aid your persistence, write down your chief desire in clear, definite words. Read it aloud morning and night. As you do, close your eyes and imagine yourself living the result. Feel gratitude as if your goal were already achieved. Let the emotion of fulfillment fill your heart until every doubt is drowned in certainty. This daily ritual is not superstition. It is mental conditioning. You are programming your subconscious to accept your vision as truth, and once accepted, it must find expression. Let me remind you, too, that true desire always seeks to expand life, not diminish it. The desire to serve, to create, to contribute, these are the purest fires, for they align your will with the universal purpose. Selfish desire isolates, creative desire multiplies. When your aim benefits not only yourself but others, you tap into inexhaustible energy. The universe rushes to support that which serves its greater harmony. Do not fear strong emotion. Do not fear passion. Passion is the current of life. Without it, thought is a dry riverbed. With it, thought becomes a torrent that reshapes mountains. But discipline your passion. Direct it toward noble ends. Let love be your fuel, not vanity. Let purpose be your compass, not pleasure alone. When love of creation rules desire, you become an instrument of divine expression. Now, my friend, I must speak plainly of one more truth. You cannot desire one thing and vibrate with another. You cannot seek success while harboring resentment against those who have succeeded. You cannot crave abundance while secretly believing yourself unworthy of it. You cannot ask for health while indulging the emotion of fear. Your outer condition always reveals your dominant inner feeling. Therefore, cleanse your heart of envy, self-pity, and guilt, for they poison the stream of creation. The alchemy of emotion demands purity of motive, faith in vision, and persistence through trial. These three are the pillars of manifestation. Together, they transform mere desire into destiny. You are not a beggar asking the universe for favors. You are a co-creator commanding its resources through the proper use of thought and feeling. In the next part of this discourse, I shall unveil Part 4, The Power of Faith and the Subconscious Mind, where we shall explore how belief molds reality, how the unseen forces of the mind can be trained to obey your conscious will, and how faith becomes the bridge between the invisible and the visible. My friend, we have journeyed far together through the realms of thought, discipline, desire, and emotion. You have stood at the gates of your own mind and felt, perhaps for the first time, the pulse of infinite power beating within you. But now, we arrive at the summit, the supreme law that binds all others, faith. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the master key that unlocks every closed door. Faith is not born of sight. It creates sight. It does not wait for proof. It brings proof into being. Faith is the unseen architect drawing plans in the silence of your soul, knowing that what is conceived there will one day stand in the sunlight of reality. The world will tell you that faith is a luxury, a comfort for dreamers. But I tell you, faith is the most practical force a man can possess. It is the power that converts thought into substance, vision into victory, and weakness into strength. Without faith, desire burns out. With faith, it becomes an unquenchable fire. Without faith, discipline feels like bondage. With faith, it becomes freedom. Faith begins where reason ends. It is the courage to say, "Though I see no way, I know there is a way." It is the calm conviction that what you seek is already seeking you. It is the certainty that the universe is friendly to your purpose, and that every obstacle is merely an instrument in disguise, a stepping stone placed by divine intelligence to strengthen your will. Remember this: your subconscious mind is the seat of faith. It accepts without argument whatever you believe deeply, whether that belief builds or destroys. You cannot deceive it with empty words. It responds only to conviction. Therefore, to plant faith in the subconscious, you must feel your belief, live it, breathe it, saturate yourself in it until it becomes the very atmosphere of your being. When faith takes root, miracles cease to be exceptions. They become the natural expression of a mind in harmony with law. Doors open without knocking. Help arrives without summoning. Circumstances, once hostile, begin to align with your will. The world bends quietly to the vibration of a steadfast soul. There is a higher faith still, the faith that trusts even when results delay, the faith that stands unshaken when storms arise, when men doubt, when appearances contradict your vision. Such faith is divine, for it draws its strength not from outcome, but from inner knowing. It whispers, "All is well, the law is working, my good is certain." And now, let us ascend one last step. Beyond faith lies knowing, the quiet realization that you and the infinite are not two, but one, that the same power which spins the planets beats in your heart, that the same intelligence that paints the stars also directs your thought. When this truth becomes your living consciousness, you no longer seek power. You are power. You no longer chase success, you express it. The wise do not strive to possess life. They align with life. They cease begging for favor from the universe and begin cooperating with it. They no longer fear the law, for they have learned to use it. They know that every thought of good they send forth enriches the whole, and that the whole, in turn, enriches them. Such men are no longer servants of fate. They are its authors. Look about you. Every monument of progress, every temple, every empire began in the same way, with a thought, a desire, and faith enough to hold the thought until it became flesh. There is no secret the universe hides from the man who believes. The mountains move not because they must, but because a soul dares to say, "Move." My friend, the law of mental power is eternal. You cannot escape it. You can only use it, wisely or unwisely. Every thought you think is a cause. Every result you live is an effect. The wise man chooses his thoughts as carefully as a sculptor selects his marble. He knows that each stroke of thought is shaping the form of his destiny. Therefore, let your mind dwell only upon that which you wish to see realized. Speak only words that affirm your faith. Act only in ways that express your highest vision. And above all, believe. Believe in yourself, in your purpose, in the unseen hand that guides your steps. For faith is the song of the soul in harmony with its source. There will come a day, and may it be soon, when you will stand upon the mountaintop of your own achievement. You will look back upon the valley from which you climbed, and you will know that every struggle, every doubt, every delay was part of the plan that brought you there. You will see that the power which carried you upward was never outside you. It was within, waiting only for your recognition. That day you will no longer ask, "Does the law work?" You will say with calm certainty, "I am the law in action. I am the thought of God made visible. I am the living proof that mind is master and faith its eternal servant." And so, my friend, go forth and live as the creator you were born to be. Hold your vision as the sailor holds the star, unshaken through every storm. Let your thoughts be clear, your heart be fearless, and your faith be absolute. For when thought and belief unite, the universe itself bows in obedience. Remember this final truth. You are not a product of circumstance. You are the architect of circumstance. You are not a servant of fate. You are its master. You are not a seeker of power. You are power, shaped by consciousness, directed by faith, expressed through purpose. Therefore, think greatly, feel deeply, and act boldly. The secret law of mental power is no longer secret. It is you.